Howdy, y'all. Socialism on Roids here with another impromptu video. That's Socialism on Roids, Kryptonite for Conservatives. I'm off my roids, off my rocker, and on the warpath. Um, just got out of the bathroom. Just got through getting cleaned up. Um, uh, been walking off some serious holiday lasagna. Um, Yeah, a lot of mozzarella, a lot of ricotta cheese, ricotta, whatever you call it. Probably need to clean up a bit more around here. Not that my apartment's dirty or anything, but when you work a bunch of 12-hour shifts, um, stuff winds up going on the back burner, and certain things take priority. And I should probably go ahead and take care of this stuff before I have to go back to work tomorrow night. So how about them midterms? I know I'm a little late to the game on this, but hey, I thought I'd wait a few weeks before I made a video on any of this stuff, uh, or even address the issue because it takes time to count all the votes. Um, so the red wave wound up being a red trickle. Yeah, you saw a right wing surge in states where Republicans were going to win by 20, 30, 40 points anyway, but whatever. But outside of that, they had the worst midterm showing of any out of power party in almost 40 years. I'm just, I mean, I'm sort of, I knew that we'd lose the House of Representatives. I predicted that shit all the way back in 2018. But I actually thought that it was going to be a complete and utter disaster for Democrats. And, Democrats pulled it out of the bag. And that's a good thing given the fact that the Republican Supreme Court, these Federalist Society infiltrators on the Supreme Court, are about to start pushing this state legislature supremacy theory through their Harper versus Moore uh, case that's going through. That's going to make it that much harder for the right wing's opposition in this country to use the political process to keep them in line. Oh God, all that mozzarella is starting to go. So, yeah, but I gotta, come on, man, soldier through this. Um, but you know, Republicans, they lost races that they didn't think they were going to lose. Democratic candidates for governor did surprisingly well, and the Republican Party, the red wave. Let's just say that the only red wave in this election was Trump supporters going back on the rag. There, I said it. Um, but that's not really what I'm here to talk about. But I still think I need to address it. What I'd like to talk about is the recent mass shooting in Colorado Springs, at Q Club. The, the, the and yeah, you can tell I'm not prepared to make this video. Uh, More specifically, I'd like to talk about Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, Tucker Carlson, and all these right wing fucktards. These grifters and bigots and how they're doubling down. I'm amazed that these guys have decided to just go harder after a mass shooting like this. I'm like, as someone who's LGBTQ myself, I'm like, well, I'm not surprised. I mean, the rhetoric of the right wing has been building up towards this for for like 30, 40 years. I mean, they've been pushing the envelope, uh, moving that overton window on what they can get away with, what they can get away with saying. You know, if despite the right wing resurgence in other parts of the world, there are just certain things that American right wing reactionaries, conservatives, can say that conservatives in other parts of the world could probably never get away with if they wanted to, because of the laws that were passed following the Second World War in places like Germany and Italy. This is part of the reason why the far right winning, the fascists winning an election in Italy didn't really bother me as much, because there's certain things that they cannot say. There's certain rhetoric they can't push because of existing laws on the books that would put them behind bars if they actually got too far out of the line. But here in America, the the fascism of rednecks, this shit wins out. I just, yeah, I'm not prepared to make this video. But I just wish that I think the thing that gets under my skin a little bit more, even more than the than right wing grifters and zealots doubling down following the shooting, is just the usual song and dance that we hear out of centrists and liberals, where these people are all like, oh, well, they're just dumb, they're acting dumb, this is living proof that conservatives are stupid. Bullshit. There are studies that show that rural voters are just as intelligent as urban voters. They're not stupid, they're evil. They are the inverse of the principle that says that you shouldn't attribute to evil that which you should, to malice that which should be rightfully attributed to stupidity. They are the direct inverse of that old saying. Conservatives are well aware that they don't lack self-awareness on this. This isn't projection on their part. They're well aware that they abuse, that there's long-standing abuse within conservative religious circles towards children. They're well aware of that, and they're still pushing the grooming thing. They don't care. That's something you need to understand. There's a long tradition of old creepy white dudes trying to get in with teenage girls in rural white redneck evangelical culture. And there's a long tradition of them moving these fuckers around and trying to handle it as an internal matter. Pointing out hypocrisy doesn't help when they're actually aware of the hypocrisy. It's not really hypocrisy, it's just them being bad people. This is something we need to come to terms with. These people aren't stupid. They're not hypocrites. They're just ghouls. They're scum. They're monsters. They made their choice. No one told them to make this a zero-sum game. They made this decision on their lonesome. They made this decision on their by themselves. People can say all the shit about, oh, conservatives are brainwashed. They're brainwashed. Yeah, well, you're basically making the same excuse for them that the Nazis made for themselves at the Nuremberg trials. Oh, we were following orders. That doesn't change the fact that there are atrocities that are happening. Can we please not do half the work for the fascists for them? Can we please not give these guys the benefit of the doubt that they then take and hide behind, that they run to as a hiding place before doing the exact same thing that they always do. People, liberals, centrists, leftists, who like say Vosh, and don't get me wrong, I'm a Vosh subscriber myself. I like his content, but all of these people on YouTube and everything, these left wing YouTubers that give people like Shoe on Head a free pass repeatedly. I mean, you can't give someone a free pass after they've made the same mistake multiple times. At some point, you just need to acknowledge that they're bad people and they have no intention of changing. Just there comes a point where you just have to acknowledge that these people are monsters. Calling them bad people, calling them, or should I say, describing them as stupid, it doesn't account for the fact that right-wing extremists at the state and local level are just as good at being manipulative, or just as good at gaming the system in their favor, are just as good at committing organized harm against their fellow human beings, against marginalized groups, as their national level leadership. You can't continue to give these people that benefit of the doubt. You can't keep offering them a lifeboat. You need to let them sink. You need to let these people have their rope and let them hang themselves. Telling the rest of us that we should just, I don't know whether these liberals and centrists who keep pushing this age-old line, this age-old song and dance. Oh, they're not bad people. They're good people in their private lives. So is the mafia. They're good people in their private lives, but when they clock in, it doesn't keep them from extorting people. It doesn't keep them from running racketeering and shit. Them being good in their private lives doesn't keep conservatives from going into the voting booth and pulling that lever. Them being good in their private lives doesn't keep them from actively going out of their way to harm other people in their daily lives, which they do. Hell, in fact, that. How are they good people? How the hell are these people good fucking people? How exactly are these people good? What, because they birthed out a couple of kids that they're going to raise into being a bunch of monsters every bit as bad as they are? Only reason these assholes complain about critical race theory, something that's not even taught in schools. You don't even learn about critical race theory until you get to like a 400 level class in college or something. And how many people are going to learn about that? The only reason they complain about shit like this is because they want their kids to learn their bullshit. They want their kids indoctrinated into their ideology, neo-Confederate philosophy, sovereign citizen bullshit, Christian dominionism, Reconstructionism, dispensationalism, prosperity gospel, all these fake theologies that the right wing made up back in the 70s before they started taking over denominations like the Southern Baptist Convention, the Methodists, the Presbyterians. They've effectively, can we all just agree that these people, they have awareness, they know what they're doing, they're just bad people, and they want cultural, social, economic, political, and ethnic hegemony over the rest of us. That's it. They're well aware of what they're doing. They just don't give a flying fuck. They want us dead. They want us powerless. They want us where our vote doesn't matter. And all these right wingers who are like clamoring for a second civil war and everything. They want to pull that trigger so fucking bad. They want to kill us so fucking bad it ain't even funny. when are we going to come to terms with the fact that 1/3 of America wants to kill the other third, while another third would probably sit by and watch and try to find some way to rationalize not getting involved? When are we going to come to terms with the fact that there are potentially tens of millions of Americans who would get behind a fascist, hardline, right wing nationalist regime? When are we going to come to terms with the fact that a significant portion of our population never really accepted the gains of the civil rights movement? They just pretended to. They went along with it until they thought the stakes were high enough so they could go back to the way things were before the Voting Rights Act. When are we going to come to terms with this? When are we going to just accept the fact that there are tens of millions of rural, older, gray-haired, white-haired shitheads who are just biding their time, waiting for that opportunity to dick us over before they went to the grave? These people, and that they raised a whole generation of shitheads, of chuds and ghouls to carry on their multi-generational cultural, religious, and ethnic fatwa against the rest of us, against the values of modernity, against the values of pluralistic democracy. When are we going to come to terms with these things? When is it going to hit home? All these centrist Democrats, all these liberals who keep saying, "Oh, well, they're not dumb, they're not evil, they're stupid, they're uninformed, they're ignorant, they're brainwashed." Yeah, that rationalizing is going to help you a lot when these fuckers start rounding you up, isn't it? All those rationalizations so you can hold on to this hope that they're good people. It's really going to come through for us in the end when these fuckers start putting their spreading our teeth over concrete and kicking the back of our head in, isn't it? It's really going to it's really going to come through for us when they're putting us on our hands and knees and taking us out executioner style. Just, they're bad people. They're just fundamentally twisted scumbags. They want us dead. The eliminationist rhetoric, the stochastic terrorism, the dehumanization of the left, of black people, of immigrants, of the LGBTQ community, of Muslims, of Jewish people. It's the end goal. It's not some unintended consequence. It's the function. The American right, people need to understand that the post-World War II American right of today's American right it came from a place of bigotry. It came from a place of evil. The ideology itself was developed by people like Henry Lamont Beach, the guy who back in the 1930s was a devout follower of William Dudley Pelley and his Silver Legions of America, the largest pro-Hitler group in the Depression era in the U.S. And people like William Potter Gale who co-developed the identity theology with Henry Lamont Beach, and people like R.J. Rushdoony who developed Christian dominionism, and Strickland Connor and Robert Welsh. Hell, Robert Welsh was a lobbyist in Washington in the 1930s for a pro-fascist organization called the Northern Manufacturers Alliance, before going on after the war to co-chair the first right-wing think tank in Washington, the Foundation of Economic Education, before then going on to co-found the John Birch Society with Frederick Koch, the father of Charles Koch and the late David Koch, and Strickland Connor. These people, their ideology has always been bad. Conservatism has never had. There's never been such a thing as good conservatism. It's never been a thing. It's all everyone from Eugene McCarthy on down from the 1920s forward have been just bad human beings. Phyllis Schlafly, Milton Friedman, David Nolan, Robert Stockheimer, all of these people. William F. Buckley Jr., he was a scumfuck for supporting apartheid and segregation in the South, for supporting the pro-fascist alliance between the Third Reich and the Spanish nationalists. Hell, he thought Franco Francisco was the best thing since sliced bread, all the way up to his death in 1972. We need to just come to terms with the fact that these people are fascist fucks. They've always been fascist assholes. They always will be fascist assholes. They've always been bigots. They've always been about neo-Confederate ideology. They've always been about the identity theology, which pushes anti-Jewish conspiracy theories and pushes white Christian supremacy over the rest of society. They've always been about things like the prosperity gospel, dominionism, Reconstructionism, Christian dispensationalism, this idea that one day there needs to be a nuclear war between the United States and the Soviet or Russia and Iran, and it has to involve Israel, and the Jewish population of the world has to be destroyed in the nuclear war so that all the white Christians living in America can be raptured into heaven. They believe this shit. They are twisted fucks. They are evil. And before anyone says, oh, but aren't you dehumanizing them? No, because anyone who even does a cursory study of their internal belief systems knows that these people are just bad. They're just demonstrous. They want us dead. They want us dead. I'm sorry, but it's something we have to accept. These people, they've been wanting to get back to an era in which they no longer had to use dog whistles to show how racist they were. They wanted to get back to an era where they could be just as openly horrific towards minorities and marginalized groups as much as they wanted. As much as they want, and we just it's just a hard truth that we have to come to terms with, that we have to accept. I mean, stating that there's a problem is the first step to solving that problem, and this is why I keep telling people, guys, Vosh is right about this. Arm the fuck up. Take paramilitary training. Get ready, because these assholes want blood. They're not going to stop with trying to fuck us over through policy or through infiltration of the courts. Especially if they know that they can't win elections the right way anymore, and all of their Project Red Map gerrymandering bullshit isn't really helping them win in places especially when they're faced with things like amendments to on the ballot and all that stuff. They know that there's only so much they can do to stop the next generation from stopping them. And it's no accident that the right wing made war on the millennial vote, took steps to limit the influence of millennial voters following the 2018 midterms. What do you think they're going to do to limit the influence of Gen Z? They're already talking about things like, oh, well, we need to find some way to raise the minimum voting age to 21. Yeah, sure, there's an amendment in the Constitution that would prevent them from doing that, But mark my words, they'll find some way to get around that. These people are scum. They don't want to win people over, they just want to control them. They want to crush us under their feet. Well, not feet, jackboots. Jackboots. You get what I'm saying, right? These people are just fundamentally evil. And it's time we just accepted this and moved forward with what we have to do to stop them. No, I'm not. No, this isn't a call to violence. I'm just saying that from this point forward, we're not going to have the luxury of staying home on election day. It's just the way it is. We're going to have to show up, all of us, from this point forward. For the next 20 to 30 years, we got to make sure that we have high voter turnout until we can wait out enough conservatives dying of old age in these older rural populations until we can preserve our own right to exist. It's a matter of surviving them, and it's a matter of making sure that they can't use the lessons they learned from January 6th to come back harder when they pull their next attempt at a coup. All right, I think I've rambled on long enough. Comment, subscribe, like, and starting to get a little chunky down here. I got to start losing weight. I'm getting that gray hair. I'm getting older. Body's falling apart. And working these nights, doing this factory job, starts to take a toll on the old body. Hands are shot, body's shot, knees are shot, feet are shot. I tell you. Ain't got a lot of energy for political activism. Ain't got a lot of energy for a lot of things anymore. But occasionally I like to come on here and spit some truth. So, take care, everybody, and stay awesome.